Okay, and we're back in the Crystal Lake project. Hoping this will be the last video on this. I think it's nearly there. I've just had a listen through and there's not really much more I want to do to it really. I want to move on now. The main issue I've got is just this fake, well this last drop lacks a lot of energy. I can't remember what the Crystal Lake BPM is. It may have been 126, it might not have been. Because of the way my bass line is, I feel like it benefit of it being a bit faster, because Crystal Lake's is very full on, whereas mine's got a bit more gaps in between. So I'm gonna bump it up to BPM, and I think that helps a lot really. That's something you can always do anyway, at any time, any part of the project. Just mess around with the BPM and actually find out if it sounds better, slower or faster. The other thing was the energy here is just not as energetic as the Crystal Lake version. When I listen to the reference, the ride is really in your face, whereas mine's quite quiet and pushed to the back. I think it's also the wrong kind of sound. I'm just looking at the analyzer as it's playing, just so I can see the levels of all the sounds. These like peaks here are obviously like the vocals and the synths. They're quite high and might need to be turned down or EQ'd a little bit. But one other thing I noticed, there's quite a big gap here, and I believe that might have something to do with the sub. It's missing a harmonic. Yeah, I think it's missing a harmonic. So if we were to add that, it would make the sub a lot chunkier and just give the whole low end even more power. This isn't actually being used, this oscillator. So what I'm thinking is, if we put the level up, we're obviously going to get a different sound. But then if we start adding some semitones to it, so like I said earlier, the 5th or the 7th, it's filling in the gaps, giving it more power. The only problem is it doesn't sound that good there. Even before I added that extra note that I was talking about, I've just messed around with the saturation and the knock, which is 2 macros in this preset. That's also doing something else. I'm guessing that the saturation is obviously affecting the distortion. I'm not quite sure what the knock's doing. That might have something to do with the compressor. But already that alone, adding saturation, is adding those extra harmonics that fill in the gaps. So as you can see, F0, F1, the next one should be F2. Put the saturation up. We're getting another one there, and I believe the knock was also doing something. So we're now getting C2 as well, which again, and then we're getting a bit more of a bump here, which with C1. So from F, it's 7 semitones up before you get to C. So that alone is just giving us a bit more power in the sub. Having those extra harmonics is going to allow that sub to actually be heard. There's still a gap here. That's C3, so maybe we could add some more to that. Yeah, so having oscillator B with the +7 semitones is definitely adding to the low end and filling in that space, which is going to help it be heard on crappier speakers. I'm happy with that. I have a problem with the vocals here. They feel quite dry.
I love the way you get late night up in my bed. I love the way you get. I love your loving. This is love, babe. This is love. This is love, babe. is love. This is love. This is love. This is love.
My sends are quite messy at the moment. Let's have a look at what's actually being used. The percussion's using a lot of the reverb here. Not really named my sends properly, so I don't really know what's using what. Normally I would have some sort of like room reverb that a lot of the stuff goes to, but I've kind of not done that. This is why I try and name everything as I'm going. What's it been now? It's been like 2 months that I've been working on this for. I'm forgetting what I've done to it. So now I have this room reverb. I've turned off the percussion group going to this reverb. Mainly it's just because of this. I can't remember why this is happening. I think it's to do with the vocal. This is a vocal reverb, I don't know. Vocal reverb. Sometimes I would normally put that into the same with room as well, because I like everything to use the same reverb, but I'm not messing about now. Just get it done. I think some of these might benefit off a bit of delay. So we have one already. Yeah, just something subtle. I've changed this. So the ride originally was like 12 semitones up, so I've brought it back down an octave, knocked it up one more semitone, but there was no EQ on it, and I imagine there's going to be some sort of resonating frequency that we don't want in there. There you go. Hear that whistle? I want to get rid of those. Sometimes it's quite hard for me to actually spot them as the song's playing, so soloing them does help. A lot of the time after I'm like sweeping across, I tend to use the visualizer in the back, looking for peaks and then sweeping over those. Just basically what I've just done. So up and then narrow it. And then bring it down. So we did that with that one. And then if you're doing on and off, you'll hear it and you'll be like, how have I missed that? Can you hear that whistle? You always want to try and get rid of those, but I still struggle now trying to find them, so it's just becoming part of my routine to try and go through the sound, each individual sound, and just do this. So just listen to each one, soloed it, and then even listen to the entire group together and maybe try and do the same again. That should be a bit more similar. I think we do the love instead of the babe. So, yeah, let's see how it sounds. This is love. This is love, babe. This is love. This is love. So what this is making it sound grittier. There's some extra distortion to it, and there's some tiny little artifacts that are being applied to the sound. Like without it, it sounds pretty clean, and then with it, it sounds a bit dirtier. Just want to have it so that string fades in. Trying that bit. One thing I did think of is potentially using these swells as some sort of melody in this bit, so like have it there but then transpose it down.
This is love, 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 this is love.
Yeah, as soon as that melody comes in, it's just like not gonna work. They're two completely different melodies. I think it's a different scale altogether.
This is love, babe. This is love. 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 This is love.
That's interesting. Got some other weird glitchy plugins that I might try. I have no clue how it works, but there's plenty of presets to go through. That's cool. That sounds like an actual effects shot that could happen here. That bit. Problem is it's a bit random, so I'm just going to have to record it until I get the sound that I want. Cool. I don't even know if it needs it, but I just think it's cool. I want to keep it in there, but we'll see what I can do with it. But I'm just fucking about now. I'm at that point in the song where it's like, it's all arranged, it's sounding good, there's areas that I'm trying to improve on, so I'm just experimenting now to see what I can make out of it. This is another Glitchmachine plugin that was free. So, from that one sound alone, well, without this anyway, that one sound originally was one of these hits. Load of reverb, recorded, then reverse. So basically all these sounds I've just made all stem from this. And to be honest, I've not done anything. Like, all I've done is stick a plugin on it, and then gone through the presets until I found something I liked. Now the challenge is, where do these go? So I really like this one.
This is love. 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 This is love.
Yeah, I don't see them two really working. Not in that bit anyway. Could potentially work. Nah, get rid of it. I'm also struggling to see this properly working. I'm not going to bother with it. It was a nice idea and it's a nice sound, but I just don't think it fits in. So what I'm thinking now is actually doing this fracture effect on the vocals too, but use the wet and dry knob, whichever one it is, to fade it in as we're building up into the track. So if I can find a good preset and then, yeah, like I said, fade it in, then jobs are good. That effect's well cool. I wish I did that earlier and built the song around that. It sounds like a synth. I think that's the one. I like the cut-up nature of it, all the the one-shots that's happening. That's exactly what I was looking for.
This is love, babe. This is love. 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 This is love. This is love.
Right, I believe I'm done. In terms of the arrangement and creativity of the track, I'm quite happy with it. I'll quickly spend some time just doing a quick pre-master or master, whatever you'd want to call it. I use Ozone 8 because I haven't got 9 and it's only the standard edition, but it's got everything that I need. At the moment there's just a maximizer on it, and if we open the Youlean loudness meter, let's see what LUFs we're currently at. As you can see, we're about 8.6, so we could get this louder. So I know I said I was going to do a master, but at the moment I've just gone back into the group, so I'm just adding some limiters just to get the sound as loud as it can be. So just as a quick fix for vocals, I use Nectar elements, just analyse it and then does all this stuff for you, and then just go in and tweak it. However, obviously you'd want to spend more time tweaking these things with better plugins, but this works for what I'm after at the moment.
I love the way you get late night up in my bed. I love the way you get. I love the way you get late night up in my bed. I love the way you get. I love your loving.
So for me, what that's actually done is it's kind of got rid of any of the muddy frequencies and also lifted the high end of the vocal. I'm happy-ish with everything that's going on here. I think what I'm going to do is going to go off after the video and just tweak other little bits. because it's quite tedious doing tiny little changes here and there. But as a master, this is the usual process I would do. So with Ozone, I've got the Imager, and I will find the most exciting part of the track, press play, and then press learn. And then we've got 4 different bands. We can then change the stereo width of each band. Good rule of thumb from what I learned from Zen World is the ladder. So if we've got it low like that, you want the pattern to kind of go like that, so it's going upwards. That's a good little tip, but again, it can be different for each project, but that does seem to work for me as well. So we don't have to go completely mono either, but that's just it. When it's a bit more stereo, you can hear more of that low end of the synth, which isn't being EQ'd. So let's go in here. See, this is what I mean. I need to go through and do all the tweaks because some of these things don't have EQ in them. And obviously this is based off your preference from what you want from the track. With these kind of tracks, I think the low end should be very tight, so that's why I've lowered it. Again, always bypass things so you can tell the difference, that it's actually an improvement. Not really hearing much, but you're definitely going to hear it now with the higher frequencies of the track. I tend to absolutely crank this. Don't forget to test it in mono. I forgot to do, I'm forgetting a lot, is there's another plugin that got recommended to me. This is good for getting some more high end out of your mix. So I've just put it before Ozone. You've got to be very careful with it because it does boost a lot when you've got it on. To be honest, I very rarely touch these knobs, just these two, and again, very subtle. I don't go mental with it because it does a lot changes with each tiny turn. But it does help the hi-hats kind of shine through, so that's something else I put on my master chain. Next, I would have the Equalizer. I tend to do this on all masters, just cut off either 40 Hz or 30 Hz. And then just EQ things that I think need EQing. A lot of the time I barely do anything, just because I try and do it, because it's in the same window as the full arrangement. If I feel like something needs EQing, I'll go back and EQ that rather than the whole master. But sometimes it's also like maybe roll off some of that high end that we've just gave it with that I don't know how you say it, Luftikus, that's what we'll call it. It sounds something Greek. Between 1 and 2K is where the vocal and the lead is sitting, so I'm just going to lower that down a bit because it feels a bit loud. And just so it's not so muddy. Next, dynamics, which is another thing which has a learn option, and this is basically a multi-band compressor, which again is pretty similar to this. Obviously feel free to move all these around, but a lot of the time I think the learn functionality does its job. And again, with this I just do the tiniest bit of compression just so I can get more out of the maximizer. You can see already from what I've done, if I turn all this stuff off, you can see already that giving the maximizer more to work with when I start pushing the threshold down. Youlean loudness meter again, and then start bringing the threshold down. And we want to keep bringing it down until we start hearing distortion basically, and then at that point push it back up. So as I said earlier, I always aim for 7.5 or 8. And we're more or less hitting it. I'm fine with that. I don't want to push it too much because obviously you start getting distortion, and then that means you have to then go back and compress more, and you don't want to over compress things, you don't want to squish it all. It's already sounding pretty squished, but yeah, that's how I go about making some form of a master that I would send to the label. So what I'm going to do with it, I'm going to just release the track for free on my SoundCloud, so you can get it there. I'll put a link in the description. I'll also do another YouTube video just for the full song, so you can go listen to it. I'm not going to put it in this video. And then also what I'm going to do, I'm going to give the project file away with all the samples, and obviously I've not used just only Ableton plugins, so that's the downside. If you get this project, then you're going to need to have some premium plugins like Serum, and I might have used Silence, Decapitator for example, Echo Boy, all them free ones I've told you about. But what I'll do, I'll properly break down in the description all the plugins that I've used, so you're not downloading it and then finding that half the stuff doesn't work. But obviously download it, and then if you're missing a certain couple of things, then I don't know, replace it. Do you? I'd be interested to see if any of you remix this, see what you do with it. But yeah, what I might do actually is, if that's the case, I might bounce everything down as well, so then you've got the actual audio of the bass. So if you wanted to remix it and you've not got the VSTs, then you can do. So yeah, go look in the description for those links. Go follow me on SoundCloud. You're gonna have to, because I'm gonna put a download gate on it. So thanks for watching. I'll be back hopefully next week with a new series. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet. I don't think I'll do another in style of, to be honest, this was never the plan with this. It was just what it ended up growing into, and yeah, I'm fine doing that. I'm fine doing a video and then seeing where it goes. So I think that's what I'll do next. Pick up one of my other projects that I've got going and just run with that. Hopefully it'll be a bit more in my style that I'll actually release to a label. So go follow me on my socials. I'm quite active on Instagram. Drop me a message if you've got any questions, and yeah, thanks for watching and see you next time.
This is love. This is love, babe. This is love.